Hey everyone, so last week was a long one, wasn't it? Yeah, and one of the most traumatic that I can remember in crypto. And there's a lot more to talk about, everything that's happened with Terra and Luna and UST and that whole disaster. And I'm researching a video about it at the moment, which I'm going to do for our main YouTube channel in the next few days. So do keep a lookout for that. I thought something a little bit different today. I put a request for questions out on Instagram recently, and quite a few of you have been good enough to send some in. So my colleagues here at Coin Bureau HQ have sort of collected a few of the ones together that they would most like me to answer. And so I thought I'd answer them in this video for you today. So without further ado, let's crack on in, shall we? Hang on, just close all my other apps. There we are. Okay, so first question is from you 2.0. Do you watch cricket? Okay, obviously strictly crypto related today. Yes, I do watch cricket. I prefer watching test match cricket to one-day cricket, and if I can watch it at Lord's, which is one of the greatest places on earth, and helpfully here in London too, then that is my ideal day out. And that's all I'll say on that question, because I imagine I've alienated quite a few of you already. Next question is from Fuzzbugbajic, not sure how you pronounce that, and it says, how tall are you? Yeah, really crypto related. I am 6'1" when I stand up straight, which I very rarely do, and I get in a lot of trouble for it. Okay, so next question is from D. Meerbeck, and that says, prepare people for bear market. That's kind of more of an instruction than a question, but okay, here goes. So I think two things to bear in mind about the bear market, which we are now in, and we have known has been coming for a while now. We just weren't sure when it was going to start. I think the first thing is to treat it as an opportunity. It's going to be tough. It could last for months. It could last for years, and it's going to see prices suppressed. A lot of other projects may follow Terra and go to the wall. We just don't know, and it's going to be a long period, and there are going to be some testing times during it. But if you treat a bear market as an opportunity, and also a time that's free from hype, free from a lot of the FOMO that you so often see in the crypto markets, then for people who are willing to spend a lot of time researching and looking into projects before they invest in them, then it can be a really, really great opportunity to invest in projects at much lower prices than they obviously will get to when the next bull market kicks in. And I think the other important thing to have in mind as we go into a bear market is patience. You've got to play the long game here. Trying to trade during a bear market is even more difficult than trying to trade during a bull market. And inexperienced and experienced traders alike will lose money trying to trade these conditions. But if you have a long-term view, and if you invest with the expectation that it may take, again, months or even years for those investments to come good, then you do have a much better chance of doing well in this bear market. Okay, TK Timothy says, what crypto are you buying now? Short answer is I'm not really buying anything at the moment, because I am not convinced that we've seen the bottom of this bear market. I think given all the global macro factors in play, there's a very good chance that prices could go a lot lower, and it just doesn't seem like a buying opportunity to me at the moment. So I'm obviously kind of still licking my wounds from the whole Terra thing. As I said in a recent live stream, that accounted for, Terra and UST accounted for about 3 to 4% of my portfolio. So it wasn't a massive loss, but it was a painful one nonetheless. So at the moment, I'm just kind of watching the markets. I'm keeping an eye on the global situation. I'm not planning to buy anything anytime soon, but I am, of course, keeping my eye on those prices. So if Bitcoin and Ethereum dip a lot lower, then I certainly will be considering going into both of those and possibly others. And I will keep you updated as to what projects I am following. Okay, Paul Gilmore says, what caused the Luna coins to have a short-lived resurgence? One word, speculation, and it was not unexpected, but also a little disheartening to see so many people kind of aping into Luna, when the prices had crashed, purely in anticipation of some miraculous resurgence, or even just trying to trade on the hour or over the day. Yeah, so a lot of people aped in, and a lot of people would have lost a lot of money, and it was sad and very silly. Okay, S. Uzan says, will the coins go up next week, or is this collapse the end of crypto? No and no. I think, as I said before, I think prices are going to stay suppressed for the time being. It's going to be a very difficult environment to be buying and selling in. But this is certainly not the end of crypto. In fact, we're still very early on in the process. I think crypto is only just getting started. It's going to be a rough few months and possibly years ahead of us. But crypto has only one direction to go, and that is up. Okay. Vish03 says, with USDT falling away from its peg, are other stablecoins also on rocky ground? I think the short answer there is yes. It's a tough time for stablecoins at the moment, be they decentralized, be they algorithmic, be they centralized like USDC. And I think part of this is because we're almost certainly going to see some sort of regulation in the not too distant future around stablecoins, because I think the whole UST disaster has really kind of focused regulators' minds on the dangers of stablecoins. I think this certainly isn't the end for stablecoins. They still have a critical role to play in crypto and beyond. But certainly it's going to be an interesting next few months, I think, as regulators try and figure out what the heck to do with them. I think rocky ground is perhaps a little not quite right, I think, but it's certainly going to be testing times ahead. Okay, Thomas Q.Art says, which books helped you to understand better crypto and metaverse? I did cover this a while ago in a video on our main channel. I'm a big fan of books about crypto, and I like to think that I've read most of them. A great one to start with is the Bitcoin Standard. That's kind of the set text for a lot of cryptocurrency. And if you want to kind of counterpoint to that, then The Infinite Machine by Camila Russo or The Cryptopians by Shin are both excellent looks at the story of Ethereum. And interestingly, The Infinite Machine has just been optioned by Ridley Scott's company, so Ethereum the movie is coming our way very soon. There are loads and loads of others. Off the top of my head, a really good one is Cryptocurrency, The Future of Money by Paul Vigna and Michael J. Casey, if I remember that right. That's a really good look at crypto. It's a few years old now, but a very, very good look at crypto from that perspective. That's another one I'd recommend. There's tons actually, so maybe I'll link to some in the description of this. Okay, Cam11770 says, will Coinbase survive or die? So obviously Coinbase's Q1 figures were released last week, and they made for some pretty grim reading. Coinbase has had a tough 2022 so far, and I think that's going to stay very much the same. It's obviously, now that we're in a bear market, Coinbase's main source of revenue, which is trading fees, is going to be well below what it was during the peak of the bull market. So it's a tricky time to be Coinbase, but remember, Coinbase is a massive exchange. Okay, its share price has absolutely tanked since it launched, but we see this with so many publicly traded companies. They tend to launch to a great fanfare, everyone gets really excited, they ape in at the ICO, and then watch their investment dwindle, often quite quickly in the weeks or months that follow. I don't think Coinbase is going to die. It has a lot of cash reserves. It's a big company. It's still hiring lots of people. It's just been on an absolute hiring spree. And in actual fact, I've talked about its latest report over on our main channel, so do check that out. But short answer is no, Coinbase is not going to die, but it has got tricky few months and possibly years ahead. Okay, Makis Kara says, do you write your jokes, or do they pop into your mind during recording? I don't know if you mean my jokes or my rhymes. Quite often I tend to sort of say stuff off the cuff, which is kind of deviating from what I wanted to talk about. If you mean the rhymes, then I do have to sketch them out, because my brain does not work fast enough to make them up in my head as I go along, unfortunately. Okay, ICTY12 says, do you think Luna will go up? No. Well, it's incredibly volatile at the moment, and obviously we saw it go up by several 1,000% over the weekend, from fractions of a cent to slightly more fractions of a cent. As much as I think a lot of people are hoping that Luna can be resurrected, I think this is very much the end of the project in its current form. And I certainly would not even consider buying Luna again. Okay, someone else asked, I didn't get their name here, what do you feel about the 30% crypto tax in India? Yeah, this is a fairly recent announcement that Indians, I believe this is a capital gains tax. So Indians are going to have to pay 30% capital gains tax on their crypto if they realize it. And I think it's kind of natural for governments to want to tax crypto and to get their share of the revenue. However, I think 30% is pretty ludicrous, and really all it's going to do is drive crypto traders, crypto innovators, crypto companies outside of India into jurisdictions that are more welcoming and are not just going to try and tax them to death. So, I think on India's part, that's unwise. I think they've made a mistake there, and all they're going to do is just drive crypto-loving Indians elsewhere. Raman Depp says, when can we expect alt season? Not anytime soon. I think we're a way off alt season, unfortunately. Deus Nightfire, great name, says, how long does it take for you to decide to buy or sell your crypto? Good question. So I never like to rush into a decision to buy or sell any particular crypto. Quite often I will have a price point at which I will consider either buying or selling. So let's say a coin falls to a certain price point, then I often have limit orders set for there, and also limit orders set to sell a certain amount at a certain price point. But generally I try not to trade too much. I'm not a very good trader, but I spend quite a lot of time thinking which particular price points I want to get in and out of. But mostly I just hodl. Okay, Jordan WJC says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad was UST compared to other events like BitConnect, Mt. Gox, etc.? Wow, this is a great question. This is something I was thinking about a lot over the weekend because, as I said at the beginning, the last week has been so traumatic for the whole crypto industry. And lots of people have been comparing it to the likes of Mt. Gox and BitConnect. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, let's try and put Mt. Gox and BitConnect. I'm guessing 1 is sort of no big deal, and 10 is absolute catastrophe. I would say that Mt. Gox was probably about an 8 or 9 on that scale. Now, Mt. Gox, this was a few years ago now. This was sort of early 2014. And when Mt. Gox went down, it was one of the few places that you could buy and sell Bitcoin. It was the biggest exchange by a long way. And a heck of a lot of people lost a heck of a lot of money. And I think because the crypto industry was still so young then, because it was mostly just retail that was buying Bitcoin at that time, I think that was probably the most critical moment for the entire industry. And I think that could be the moment that it came closer to all falling apart, really. So that's why I give it a kind of 8 or 9 on the catastrophe scale. BitConnect, I think less so. BitConnect was a pretty horrible event, really. Obviously, it was this massive Ponzi scheme. I think on that sort of scale, it's more kind of a 7. A lot of people again lost a lot of money, which is never good to see. But BitConnect was just such a scam, and I don't think it was quite on the scale of Mt. Gox because it wasn't quite so central to the whole crypto industry. It was a project that had managed to hype itself up, managed to lure a lot of people in with frankly outrageous returns. This an absolute textbook Ponzi scheme. So although it was not nice to see, I don't think it was quite as bad as Mt. Gox. So that obviously begs the question of where we put Terra and the whole UST and Luna catastrophe. I would say again that's probably about something between a 7 and an 8. And now I think last week when it was all unfolding, it could have felt a lot worse. And obviously the repercussions are going to play out more over the coming weeks and months. So it's a little bit difficult to say that this chapter is definitely closed, because we're still in it. But that said, although it was an absolute disaster, and although again a lot of people got wrecked and the industry took a nasty blow, I think crypto is there's so much institutional capital there now. The industry has matured so much since the days of Mt. Gox and BitConnect that although this was a real disaster, it's not the end. And I think crypto, although it's kind of accelerated the start of the bear market, crypto is going to roll with this particular punch. So yeah, on the 1 to 10 scale, 7, 8. Certainly not something we want to go through again anytime soon. And the final question is from another Dev Zero, and it just says question. Answer. There you are. Very odd question. If it is indeed a question. Anyhow, I think that penultimate question from Jordan WJC was my favourite. So Jordan, you are the lucky winner of a Percy Pig. It'll be here waiting for you at our office in London. If you ever want to come and pick it up, maybe you'll get the rest of the packet as well. Anyway, folks, thanks for sending those in. Please do keep sending me questions on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and wherever else, and I'll do another one of these videos very soon to try and answer some more of them for you. Stay cool and stay crypto.